What's going on, guys? Today we've got another tactics video for you guys. It's slightly unexpected. I wasn't actually planning this, but I've been playing an online save and this has just been absolutely incredible for me. Before we get into the video, please do like the video, share the video, drop a little comment if you do get a chance to test this out, and also make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. We're absolutely killing it at the moment on the channel, but let's get right into it. Guys, let's get into this then, shall we? So it was an online save, as I did say. I was Chelsea, my friend was Man United. I won the league with 91 points, second place was 85, and to be fair, it was a fantastic season for us. This tactic wasn't sort of planned. I've not been purposely testing this, but it was so dominant in this, and also we won the Champions League in the same season, as well as a couple like smaller cups. But it honestly is such a good formation, and in today's episode, I'm purely going to focus on breaking down this season, because last episode, I felt like, because I tested it with 3 teams, we didn't talk about it enough in depth. And, you know, I just want to stress and get everything out about this formation. And hopefully, you guys can take this into your saves and dominate football. So, let's look at some of the results, more than the actual points. Obviously, we've seen that we won the league. But if we look here on the schedule, so this is it. So, we started off these friendlies and the Super Cup, I actually simmed. I accidentally simmed that. I don't know why I did. But we then break into the Premier League, and it was a flying start. I mean, a 4-1, a 3-1, a 1-1, 4-0, a 2-2, a 2-0, a 3-1, a 4-0. And we suffered our first loss against Rangers, which was actual me playing the game. One thing about this formation is, if I actually scroll down here quite a bit, I don't want to ruin all the results, but we didn't, hardly at all did we concede more than sort of 2 goals. It was usually clean sheets or it was 1 goal. This formation's very good at defending, and the attacking, I would say, you get so many chances, but you work the chances hard. Like, I mean, the chances that you get are going to be very, very likely to score chances. It's more about passing the ball well, developing the play up slowly, and, you know, winning the ball back quickly. And I'll get a bit more into that as we go on. But carry on with here. So after the Rangers game, I was a bit annoyed. We then recovered that brilliantly with a 4-0, a 1-0, a 2-0, a 3-0, a 3-0, a 2-0, 1-0, 1-0, a 0-0, which doesn't usually happen within this formation at all. A 1-1 against Rangers. They seem to be our boogie team at the moment. 4-1 against Arsenal. Then unfortunately we did suffer a loss to Leeds in the 1-0. But the losses that we got aren't usually by... You hardly concede in this formation. The only game we had, which you can see down here, was against a team like Liverpool. And, you know, Liverpool are amazing on this game. So we then unfortunately also here, we took it 2-2, and I think if we can see, yeah, it was I remember that game. It was a last minute equaliser for Aston Villa, and they won on penalties. Not too much can be done about that. We then respond brilliantly against Wolves, Southampton, Villa, West Ham, Newcastle. We then suffer a 4-2 loss to Liverpool, and also down here, a 2-0 loss to Tottenham, back-to-back games actually. So again, I'm not going to clickbait the title. I'm not going to clickbait the title and say the formation is invincible. I am going to say that this formation, if you manage it depends. Like, if you're managing sort of like Norwich, you're not going to win the league with it right away. Let's be honest. But if you're managing like a title contender, so you're talking like United, City, Liverpool, Tottenham, Chelsea. Am I disrespecting anyone? Arsenal, them type of teams, probably West Ham in there as well. You've got a shot of getting in the top, winning it or finishing top 2, top 3. But it's a great formation, and it honestly is sensational. This game here, I can explain. We were playing, first off, we went down to 9 men, is what I'm going to say there. And it was a very, very tired team. This is like this end of the season, the games get a bit congested and it's not always easy. But I mean, we went down to 9 men inside of like 30 minutes or 32 minutes. So it's never easy. We then bounced back with a win against Arsenal, a big win against Inter Milan there, a big win against City. We then lose the game against Inter Milan, but we still go through. So it doesn't really matter. In that game as well, it was like Inter Milan, if I click I was there, they got off to such a hot start. It was like 8 minutes, 10 minutes, and then Lukaku managed to get, a couple goals for us, which, he was a big part in this season, let me tell you that. And then we sort of, from there on, it was from strength to strength. We beat them. Real Madrid here got absolutely obliterated. Lukaku again, honestly sensational. And just because there were a couple, weren't direct accusations, but people sort of seem to wonder, I imagine, the actual stats of the players. So I'm going to go into that so you can see a few more of their actual details. And then we also beat them 4-0 in the second leg, which is embarrassing for them. Picked up a draw against United again, which obviously my mate was playing with, so that was always a good battle. A 1-0 there, a 3-0 there, a 3-1. And to finish it off, we also win the Champions League final. So in one season, we win the Premier League, we win the Champions League, and we also win the FIFA Club World Cup final, which is obviously one of the smaller trophies on this game. But 3 trophies in my first season. The only signing, I'm going to show you the team now. Actually, I'm going to break through the stats, and then I'm going to show you the team that done it, and we can talk through the tactics. If you go into the data hub, I actually did plan it all out for you guys. So let's go first with the general performance. So general performance, you're talking sort of 2.32 goals a game, so more on the 2 side. Like I said, this formation, unlike my last video where it was all out attack, this is sort of a bit more reserved, a bit more not negative. It's a nice balanced formation. Expected goals are pretty much the same. Conceded under a goal, I can't argue with the stats fully, but I would say, more expected goals. I'd say you can expect to concede 1, but it all depends on how you line up at the back. And at the end of the day, as you can see there, we went on quite a few runs of, big run, of not actually conceding. So you don't always concede. Pass completion is sensational, and the tackle also, was it on there? The tackle also on there at 80.85%, which is, very good. We'll move on then to the passes attempted. Now this is what I like to see. So you can actually sort of see where the passes were attempted, and this is good because obviously you want it in this sort of area because that's where the most important midfield players are, and you'll see exactly how that plays out when I show you the actual tactic. But as you can see, 727 passes attempted per game, which is very good compared to the average team with 633 per game. So we do a lot more passing in the game, and that, to be honest, we did actually dominate possession quite a lot. We usually averaged sort of high 50s, sort of 58%, early 60s, so 62%, 60% a game. And at the end of the day, if you've got the ball, you can create, and that's what we've done. Moving on then, so the team attacking, we can expect pretty much about 2 goals a game, which I'd say is pretty fair. Obviously, there were games in there where we did thump teams, but it's not consistent. 6-0, 7-0, obviously impossible to do that. But overall, this is very positive. I mean, to be honest, 2 goals a game you can't really complain about, because you should, technically, if you go up based off the stats, we're expected to score 2 goals a game and we're expected to concede 1, which would mean you've got a very good shot of winning every game. Obviously, stats can go out the window in some games, like the Brentford game when I went down to 9 men. I mean, you can't do anything when you're down to 9 men. But as it goes, this formation seemed to be such a consistent and just a well-playing formation. And the formation you would have seen before, but I've got my own twist on it. I always put a twist on things, and this is the best formation I've actually found for this. Sorry, the best tactic I've found for this formation. Moving on then, so we've covered these 3. We'll go into the possession. So as you can see here, we win the ball back also more than the average team. And also the possession one, obviously per game, we are clear. West Ham and Leeds actually are up there. And what this means is, with them type of stats, when we haven't got the ball, we are also fighting so hard to win it back. The tempo is very high on this formation. So one thing I will say is, Very good if you've got a big team, so you need a bit of squad depth. Otherwise, you might struggle. But I'm completely honest with how this formation works. You need to have a bit of depth in your squad, that is for sure. The goal output, we create a greater number of chances than the average team. Obviously, we actually create more chances than Liverpool. I think in respect to goals per game, we create more than Liverpool. And to be honest, we also concede fewer total good chances than the average team. So, I mean, overall, it's positive on positive for that. We create more and we concede less big chances. So it's positive on positive, to be honest with you. And we'll look at the defending lastly before I actually break down the tactic. And so here we go. So expected is obviously around this figure. Tackles, 24 a game. Decent. Tackle, I really hate when that comes up. The tackle win ratio is 80%. So, you know, it's pretty decent. One thing I will say is, I do create a lot of fouls, but that's because that's how I play. I'm happy to take a booking. Sometimes that kicks you in the teeth. And to be honest, if you've got players with the wrong mentality and you see like a lot of players get sent off the same player, feel free to change it. But I like and I'm happy to take cards to break up play, you know, just to try and get under their skin and little things like that, you know. But for me, taking the yellow card isn't an issue. I'll happily pay the fine. So for me, that's decent. So overall, we're pretty much above average with the defending as well. But lastly, this is the moment you've been waiting for. There will be a download link to the formation as well in the bio, so you haven't got to copy all of this. But let's go into the main part of the video and look at player stats and the tactics. Here are Lukaku's stats for last season. As you can see, 35 games, 48 goals, 3 assists, and 16 of the player of the match awards. You can see a little bit more of a breakdown in stats here. But one thing I will say is, having a striker that is of his calibre, a lot of teams that you can do saves with will have a player that can do it. Like, I mean, if you're Liverpool, doesn't have to be Lukaku, to be honest. I mean, you could put Salah up there, you could put anyone. I mean, if you're City, you've got money to buy a striker. If you're Tottenham, you've got Kane. If you're in the foreign leagues, you know, Bayern, Lewandowski, Dortmund, Haaland, PSG, Mbappe. And also, if you do it in like a slightly weaker league, like if you were to do it in the Dutch league, although your striker wouldn't be like a Lukaku type of standard, the defences are weaker, so he'd still be getting, you know, a load of chances to bury. But no, this guy here was absolutely sensational. Looking at his stats here, obviously worth an absolute fortune. 18 finishing, first touch also is decent. So he's definitely improved on that. And what a player he was. Another good player in this formation was definitely Kai Havertz. To start with, he wasn't actually playing. He was really poor for me. But I slowly introduced him to the team, and he was honestly sensational. Real good player. And obviously, the depth also that Chelsea have is very good. There's slightly less players now because a few of them I have got rid of and I've got people coming in, etc, etc. But it's not really important about the team. I just wanted to show you where majority of the goals come from. They do come, obviously your wingers do contribute, but a lot of the goals are going to come from your main, you know, attack and forward. So make sure that you do have a good striker that you can rely on, and also if you can have depth in that position. But let's actually get stuck into it now, shall we? So the mentality is on positive. The formation is a 4-2-3-1, the custom press basically. But let's just have a little look at it. So in possession, so it's quite a narrow formation we've got going on here. We've got the pass into space selected on, and we've got the focus play through the left and the right, and also the overlap, because we get the ball out wide, basically. And I saw it a lot, because obviously I played this, I didn't simulate it, so I was watching it. I noticed as soon as, like, the two, like, almost CDMs got the ball, there'd be so much space on the wings for... Well, because it'd be two options, right? You've got the fullbacks that also did push up, and you also had, like, the wingers that were, you know, out wide all the time, and they were just being really good, to be fair. Like, it's such a good formation for that. And what you want to have on here, down here, is the pass and directness on shorter, because then that is why you create so many passes a game. If you have it like up here, you're just going to be hoofing the ball about. It's not going to be pretty. So short passing, short and sweet, build up play, you know, quick but the passing, not just so you lump it on, lump it from side to side. The tempo, we've got an extremely high, because I always play quite a high tempo, to be honest with you. As I said, it does wear the players out, but Chelsea have such a good set of, rotation players that you can afford to do it. You really can. And a lot of other teams do as well. For this, I've actually got nothing selected on here, because, to be fair, a lot of the chances we were getting were actually coming from either people not crossing it, but people coming from the wing and sort of cutting in, squaring it into the box. But I select nothing on this, because I think if you have worked the ball into the box, sometimes it does mean that they work a bit too hard for it, and you won't get as many chances as what you do. The one thing I will say is that I wasn't having too many pop shots that weren't resulting in goals. They weren't hitting them in ridiculous angles. So personally, I would leave this just as it is. If you're a goal down, possibly select shoot on sight, because then your players will obviously, they'll just shoot it whenever they get a chance, and anything can happen, On for this, I've got run at defence and be more expressive. Again, I feel like this team is good enough to defend, to also let the attacking players and the midfielders that do push up to be expressive and to run and, really cause issues. And it did. There were a lot of sending offs against us, and it does work, getting in their face, making them feel uncomfortable. That's the main thing you want to be doing. You really do. In transition, let's have a little look at this. So we have got the counter press selected, and when possession has been won, the counter, because as you noticed in the last episode, I'm when I've not got the ball, my main focus is to win the ball back and do it as quick as I can. But then, once we've got the ball back, I don't just want to hold on to it and, hold on and do nothing with it. I want to counter. I want to get in their face, just absolutely, just completely go at the neck and just try and kill the game off. So that is why these two are selected. The goalkeeper, distribute quickly. Obviously, this stuff can be changed in-game. So if you're a goal up, you can tell the keeper to slow the pace down, and, you might want to change, a few things mid-game. But this is the format. I didn't actually change hardly any of this when I was actually playing. As for the distribution, where to kick it basically, where to distribute, I like it going to the centre-backs, because then they can sort of dictate where it goes next. Where if I distribute it too far forward, it could get intercepted. Whereas it didn't get intercepted once when I was distributing to centre backs, and then they sort of played it into the midfield, and then them two CDM area players sort of then dictated where the ball went going forward. And I also got it on take short goal kicks. Again, roll it out would be fine because you're only going to the centre backs, but short kicks is what I personally prefer. Moving on then. And like I said, you haven't got a copy of all of this, you can just download the tactic, but I like to go over it so you guys get an understanding of what I've done. Out of possession. So this is going to be, we've got quite a high line of engagement, and the defensive line is also quite high as well. And we've not got the offside trap on at all. Now, we didn't concede too many goals, so I wouldn't honestly change anything about the line or anything like that. I'd keep all this the same. The marking and tackling, definitely I like to mark my players pretty tight, so I've got that selected. The trigger press is much more often and prevent them from taking short goal kicks. It didn't happen too many times, probably happened 2 times this season. I actually did intercept short goal kicks, and one of them resulted in me scoring a very important goal. So it is something, to definitely take into consideration. This is, for me, I have get stuck in. And obviously you saw one game where it cost me. But as I said previously, and as I keep saying, I am happy to take a booking. I always have been. So for me, get stuck in is crucial for this, because it does help. There's countless times when I've been a goal up, and then a highlight comes, I got a chance, and my player picks up a booking. And I don't mind it. At the end of the day, it is a risk, and it all comes down to what type of manager you are. But for me, you look at some of the best managers, and Pep's happy to take bookings. I'm happy to take bookings. So for me, make sure you got it on, because it does make a big difference. Now, the last thing we've got to do is, because it's arguably just as important as the actual tactics, is let's go over some of the player instructions. Now, for the right back position, this will be Reece James. I've got him just on the fullback, on the support role. I've got him stay wider, because I do like him to have a bit of width in the position, and also to run wide with the ball. I've got also down here to cross less often, because I don't want to be, you know, just thumping the ball in the box. But if he does, I've got it on the centre, get the ball in the mix at least if he does have to. But majority of it also is on the shorter passing. So this is what I've got for Reece James. He actually picked up quite a few, not even direct assists, but like he ran down the line very well. And he'd either get the assist himself, or he'd play the ball slightly like either to the edge and they'd get the ball in the box and, you know, create a goal. He was either the assister or the assist of the assister, if that makes sense. But these are the instructions I've got for Reece James. Let's move on to the centre-backs now. So this is the same for both centre-back positions. I've got the trigger press just on balanced, not like too high up, not too little. And also, I have got him to dribble more, because they are ball-playing centre-backs. I like them to be quite expressive. I don't mind one of them at a time, obviously, pushing forward into, not ridiculously high up, but into a slightly more aggressive position to, sort of, you know, maybe find a key pass in behind, something like that. And their passing directness is on short, so it's like, when I say find a ball in behind, it's very rare that they actually will sort of just hit and hope, but they can sort of drive up a little bit and sort of just pass it maybe to the wing, pass it to one of the playmakers. And I'm a big fan of the ball-playing defender. I really am. I like all my centre-backs to do it when they can. And luckily in this Chelsea team, I've got quite a few people that are comfortable playing it. Now, for my left-back, and what a left-back I had in Ben Chilwell. He was incredible for me. So I've got him on the wing-back role, the attack and duty, the trigger press, you know, onto balanced. I tell him to get further forward, and I'm glad I did, because he created so many chances down that left-hand side. Probably could have created more than my winger, in all fairness. I've also got it selected for him to run wide with the ball, the passing directness into the shorter passing. And what I noticed about this is, like, although I've got run wide with the ball selected, when he was getting further forward, he wasn't crossing it necessarily. He was sort of like, he was actually cutting in. I've not even got it selected, but he would sort of cut in, get the ball into the middle, and create so many chances. He really did. So if you've got an attack and fullback that you're confident in, you're probably going to see a very similar result to what I did with Ben Chilwell there. We'll move on now to the two CDMs, not called CDMs, but, you know, the two defensive midfield players. So then, for the deep line playmaker, the duty is on defend as well. And there's not too much, nothing really special in here. One thing which I wouldn't recommend is having the tackle harder on. I did at the start, and there was a lot of, I mean, I'm happy to take a booking, but he was, you know, he was getting booked every game and it was bad. So leave that as it is. The trigger press I've got on less often with him directly, just because if he's ridiculously, you know, really aggressive, he's going to be caught out of possession at the end of the day. And not possession, sorry, position. And these are the instructions for him. As I said, guys, I will say this again in case you are you know, you're literally copying this, but you can just click the download link and apply it. But I always like to break this down for you guys, because, you know, it's nice to see. But that is going to be the deep line playmaker. We'll move on now to the partner in midfield. So then, for Kante, or the box-to-box midfielder on the support role, again, it's quite simple. There's not too much selected for this, to be honest with you. I have got Mark Titer on, and he was an absolute engine in that midfield. Now, I know everyone's not got a Kante when they do their save, but there's so many players that can play the box-to-box very well. And if you've got the right player, for this, honestly, you need a player that has got great sort of, you know, just a bit of a work engine, a bit of a workhorse, you know. And there's several players out there that can fit the role. So it's not just because I had Kante. But these two together, so the box-to-box and the deep line playmaker, they were always there when we were getting counted on. But also, because obviously it's a box-to-box, I would see Kante also push up a little bit. I didn't have this selected, because I don't want him getting ridiculously far forward, because at the end of the day, going forward, we've got a winger, attack and playmaker, another winger, and also a striker. So we've got enough people going forward, and we created enough goals anyway, so we didn't need to. But for sure, these two in midfield work so well together, and I feel like the box-to-box and the deep-line playmaker are the perfect combo in there. They really are. But let's move on now to the wingers. So then, this is for the left-hand side winger. We've got him on the inverted winger role on support. The trigger press is on less often. The tackling is on tackle harder, because there were certain times where we did win the ball back. Granted, the tackles sometimes were fouls, but to be fair, I just like the players to get stuck in up the pitch to try and, you know, get the other team on the back foot, make them a bit nervous. Now, as for this, when the team has the ball, I've selected nothing. When the player has the ball, I'm telling him to cut inside, and this is how Lukaku got a lot of his goals. Because both wingers would cut in with the ball and square the ball to him, and a lot of the time it was on the floor, so he wasn't heading the ball a lot, so they were pretty much just like, with his finishing, the amount of goals he was scoring were ridiculous. And also to hold up the ball, obviously here, as you can see there, what it does, as you can see. And nothing else is selected for this, guys. Like, I don't tell him to aim crosses because I don't really want him crossing the ball. I'd rather him cut inside and have a direct pass on the floor, which one of the players can either finish, being Lukaku or my attacking playmaker, or Kante if he does decide to push up that far. But that's pretty much it, guys, for the left winger. I mean, there's not too much to it, just that I don't want my wingers to cross the ball. I'd rather the wingers cut inside and sort of just square the ball across. And I feel like that creates a better chance than just sort of running up the pitch, hitting it into the box and, well, let's face it, hoping. We'll move on to the right-hand side, the right winger. It's pretty similar, but I will show you anyway. So as you can see, it is the same, but for the right-hand side, inverted winger on the support role. This is obviously when I was playing Leroy Sané. So I've got exactly the same, trigger press on less often, tackle harder again, short passing, and cut inside with the ball, and also hold up ball on. The cut inside, again, as I said previously, the reason why it's important is because if you just keep, I mean, you're welcome to test this out for yourself, but if you just keep pumping the ball in the box, so a lot of time nothing happens with it. But if you actually have the players that can create and have got good passing, are capable of cutting inside quite well, then it makes sense to, you know, you've got Lukaku in there, who, if you get a ball literally passed in front of him from a narrow position, he's got a very good chance of scoring with his feet. And someone like Lukaku, granted, is also good with his head, but for me, I personally, as a manager, rather the ball be on the floor. That's just my personal preference. We'll move on now to the attack and playmaker role, the cam role, whatever you want to call it, and let's break that down. So then, this would be my Kai Havertz. This could be whoever your player is in the attack and playmaker. So we've got the advanced playmaker, sorry, in the attack duty. Sorry if I got a bit confused there. We've got him on tackle harder as well. Tell him to move into the channel. He's got that selected on. And also a bit of Roman. I like my attacking, on my advanced playmaker. I always say attacking playmaker for some reason. I always like him to roam, you know. Just cause a bit of havoc around the, you know, just be all over the shop. Make him worry about you. That's what I want. The passing, again, on shorter. Mainly because when he's got the ball, 3 options I want him to be thinking. 3 options possibly. The first thing would be to, preferably, because it'd be easier, to look for the wingers. Play the ball to the wingers, who obviously will be out wide and be looking to cut in. Probably joint first, actually. Also, just look for Lukaku getting in behind, because at the end of the day, he was an absolute goal machine. So that's the first things I want him to do. Last resort would be for him to shoot less often, as you can see, which I've got there, because I don't want him just taking random pop shots. I really literally just want him to be the man who gets the assist to the assist. Play the ball wide, play it in behind, but short passes so they're accurate. That's all I want. I don't want him hitting the ball up and, you know, just hoping. But that's what I've got for my advanced playmaker role. Lastly, but definitely not the least important, will be Lukaku. So let's go into his instructions. So then, guys, this is the advanced forward attack. Obviously, I had an absolute unit up front, but I've got the trigger press on less often, the tackling, tackle harder, the shorter passing again, but this one here, shoot more often, because as soon as your striker gets the ball in a decent position, you want him to be taking shots. Like, as I said it loads, or not loads of times, I've said it a couple of times. You've not got to have a world-class striker. If you're playing in a league that isn't the Premier League, say you're playing, like, I don't know, in a Dutch league, that also one that comes to mind, or, you know, Norwegian league, you're not going to have Lukaku's standard of play necessarily, but the defence will be weaker anyway. The goalkeepers won't be as good. But even if you're in the Premier League and you're playing with a weaker side, your striker's going to have the best finisher on your team. So when he's got a chance, you want him to shoot more often, because the way that the formation works is that this formation is there to create good chances, not just little half chances. Like, you're going to have wingers cutting inside, putting the ball into the box for the striker. So when your striker receives the ball, 8 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be in good situations. So just let them shoot, you know. Like, sometimes Lukaku will get the ball and he'd shoot in the most strangest positions in the box. And then either, you know, you get a goal or you get, you know, a corner, something like that. And that's what you want to be doing. You want to let your strikers have a bit of freedom, you know. Let them have the shots at goal, because, you know, you've got to shoot to score. It's as simple as that. And that is going to be it, guys, for the complete breakdown of this formation. Obviously, a 4-2-3-1 has been seen before in many tactics, but everyone has their twist on it. I've seen like 3 or 4 different ones. And this originally wasn't actually a planned video, but I've had such a good season with them. I feel like it would be a crime not to upload the exact tactics that I use. And in any Football Manager season, to win 3 trophies in your first season, whoever you manage, can be a struggle. I mean, so to win the Premier League, the Champions League, and also obviously the FIFA World Cup, I don't really count, but it is a trophy. So it's 3 trophies in one season. And, you know, obviously the team is good, but I'm honestly confident if you manage like any of the title contenders on this game, which obviously I mentioned previously, I think you've got a good shot to win the league. If you manage like a mid-table team, this formation is also going to work very well for you, because, you know, it's so balanced. Like, even if you're not outscoring teams because you've not got as good attacking players, you're not going to be conceding loads. So it's a good balanced formation. One thing I'm going to quickly add, if you are a goal up and you are really, really on the edge, you can, in the game, obviously drop these wingers back, which would result in you playing more of a 4-4-1-1. I've done it a couple of games and it worked completely fine. You can also introduce a bit of time wasting if you need to and stuff like that. Football Manager is a great game, but I did see a couple of comments on my previous video. Please don't just download this formation and instantly assume that you're going to go into your save, win everything, dominate every game. You also have to do a bit yourself, guys. So like, if you're only a goal up, maybe change it from positive, you know, be a bit cautious, drop a few players back, possibly even bring another centre back on. Like, one thing that I think is a big misunderstanding in this community is that you can download a formation and instantly just dominate and replicate it. You have to sign the right players, you have to make sure you make the right tweaks in the game, you have to keep the players happy. So make sure, you know, you are doing your side of the thing as well, guys, and this formation will bring you success. It really will. But I hope this has, you know, been a good video for you guys. And obviously there is a new layout. I sort of changed the bedroom round for a bit more natural lighting. There's also now a little intro at the start of the video, because I think it makes it, you know, a nice little intro to the video for sure. But if you have enjoyed this video, guys, please do leave it a like. Make sure you drop a comment as well, letting me know how you get on with the formation. Be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and also, before I end the video, make sure you check out my recent experiment video. It's an experiment with Schalke. We pretty much simulate 10 years and see where they end up. It's a really interesting outcome, and I'll see you guys in the next one.